Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is William Austin. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We are thrilled that you are here with us this glorious day. It is Wednesday, March 1st. Yeah, what happened to January and February? Gone. Gone. Like a fart in the wind. Love the smell of jet fuel in the morning. Smells like freedom. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my pancreas, education and higher education on top of that. The Supreme Court is hearing or heard yesterday oral arguments concerning Joe Biden's college debt loan cancellation that he has put into executive order. That most of us said, you can't do that. That's just, you can't just decide that you're not going to pay back loans. You're just not going. You're going to take out money. You're just not going to do it. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that's a bad idea. Whole bunch of reasons why that's a bad idea. The cost of it being one of them. The price of it. I should say that the price of it, and then the cost of it as well. And the cost is always worse than the price. So we'll talk about that. And I don't know what else, but we're gonna take a little break. We'll be back with the morning report right after these messages. So is it okay now? Because it was, during the Trump administration, it is okay to talk about the president's.
Yeah. We talked about mental health elderly, so let's talk about this guy's mental health.
The president's mental acuity, because there's sometimes where it seems to be lacking. Have you seen?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's especially bad. I'm talking about sometimes it's like really bad. Like, have you seen the picture?
I was told not to take any questions.
I was told not to take any questions. They're going to be mad at me.
They're going to be mad at me.
Mr.
President, are you the president or were you five?
You see, what I want. See, the next question is, excuse me,
I was told to call on what you call it for NBC. Who's telling you to call on?
That's the question that we ought to be asking. Who's telling you this?
I don't understand why nobody won't ask that question.
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Who's telling you to call on these people in the media?
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Probably so.
All right, welcome back. Listen, I love CNN because they give us so much content. I won't watch them, but I will, look at a tweet on another site. And it's interesting because it's really. I have a student that told me that they stay informed on what's going on because they've got they have CNN on their on an app on their phone, and they of course make sure that they stay informed. A few years ago, we were working with one of our groups, my wife and I work with, and a young lady said that she's she's really politically aware because she watches MSNBC all the time. And I got sad, really. I just got sad in my heart. Because here's what these people do. Here is their tweet, CNN's tweet, on the Supreme Court hearing this case about student loan debt cancellation. They tweet, the fate of Biden's student loan forgiveness program is that would impact scores of scores. A score is 20, by the way. Scores of borrowers from a wide array of colleges and socioeconomic backgrounds lies in the hands of 9 relatively wealthy people who graduated from a short list of elite private schools. There's a framing to that. And some lies, basically. a wide array of colleges and socioeconomic backgrounds. What we know is, and the reason why the people have pushed people into college so readily and just for no particular reason, is that if you go to college, you'll earn more money. So you don't have college graduates who are, or you shouldn't, if the left is correct and the educational machine is correct, you shouldn't have people with college degrees who are poor, unless they've made some other bad choices that are on them. Why they don't, so you have basically, you have this class of wealthier people who have college degrees who now want those people who didn't go to college, whether they couldn't because they didn't have the academic chops, or they just didn't want to because they were doing something else. They didn't feel they didn't need to. They decided that they would get a certificate in radiology that didn't require them to go to a 4-year school, or they became an X-ray tech, or they became a automobile technician, or an HVAC technician, or a roofer, or whatever. Now, those that didn't go to college are now supposed to tip in for the people who are struggling, that were basically forced into these schools without doing any research on how much it cost, or without doing any research on return on investment. And now they are looking for relief. Help me, Mr. Wizard. I don't want to be a college graduate anymore. Help me, Mr. Wizard. Right? That's what's actually happening. Now, this is in the hands of 9 relatively wealthy people who graduated from a short list of elite private schools. So now they're not about the elite. Interesting. But a lot of these people who went to these colleges who are looking for relief are, in the large scheme, wealthier than the people who didn't, whether they went to elite private schools or not. So what CNN is trying to do is you see it, they're trying to set up a class war that the Supreme Court now doesn't want these other people who are working as baristas, people who make coffee. Was I a barista this morning? No, I made my own coffee. That's delicious, by the way. I want these people who are now baristas who have degrees in women's studies. I use that as an example all the time because it doesn't lead to anywhere other than teaching women's studies at a university. It is in a dead circle. That degree in an 18th century English poetry that you work so hard on, all it does is put you back in that circle. It doesn't lead anywhere. Now, the amount of knowledge that you have obtained and hopefully have retained, yeah, cool. 18th century poetry, important. In the humanities, it is. Write books, make sure you maintain that, so we have that knowledge base in a society. I ain't got no problem. But you should have known that it's just that, and it's just education for education's sake. It's not utilitarian education. And at some point, because you live in this world, some of your education, some of it anyway, has to be utilitarian. Education for education's sake is fine. It's fine. Awesome. Because sometimes I just learn stuff because it's cool to learn. You can't see it here, but I have my flight simulator. You know, And I've learned a lot about aviation. Is that ever going to make me a nickel? No. Hell, doing this podcast every day. Is it ever going to make me a nickel? Probably not. I've learned a lot about a lot of stuff, though. Some of the technical stuff I've learned a lot about. Like, I know how to get rid of this red tint on my face. I just don't have the money to do it yet because this podcast doesn't provide me any income. But it does provide me with knowledge, which is why I have a job that provides me with money. I have a utilitarian job. I have utilitarian education that I could use to get a job. And nobody is telling people this. And that's on you. That's on the high school counselors. That's on the parents who won't pay attention. That's on the educational system, both at high school and at the university level. So trying to set up this class war, there are 9 relatively wealthy people who graduated from a short list of elite private schools versus this kid from, I don't know, Idaho State University with a degree in women's studies that costs 75, $1,000 a semester. I don't know what it costs, but it's too high. It's too much. And that's a degree for education's sake, not utilitarian education. And for some reason they weren't told that. Now they want you to pay for it. And this is how they're doing this. Now, here's what's happened though. Folks are finding out. Yeah. People are finding out. People are saying, you know what? This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. The Cato Institute, now I know it's the Cato Institute. Stop, don't come at me. I understand. Put up a poll on their website, I believe, on people who support or oppose this whole 9. The question read like this: would you favor or oppose the government for giving up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt for those who earn less than $150,000 a year as a single person? Now, $150,000 a year as a single person. For the most part, that's, yes, people who earn more than that are above most teachers in the country, right? Or a couple who makes less than $300,000 a year. So if you're anywhere up near that, you're making $100,000 as a single person living in Savannah, Georgia. You're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well. You're living in Lincoln, Nebraska, making $90,000 or $100,000 out of college. You're doing pretty well. You're not doing you're doing better than you would be if you were living in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago. But there's lots of reasons for that, isn't it? Well, people who would support forgiving $10,000 for a borrower, people who identified as Democrats, there was 88% of them, of course, who said yes, we support this measure. Independents, 58%, and people who identify as Republican, only 37%. Now, when we start putting conditions on it and start opening up this onion, would you be a supporter if it primarily benefited higher income people? Democrats said 56 to 44, no. Now they oppose it. If it primarily benefited higher income people, and it will. Independents changed their tune amazingly if this measure primarily benefited higher income people. They went from a 58% support rate to a 74% oppose rate. Republicans, when asked if this measure primarily benefited higher income people, They went from a 63% opposed rate to a 78% opposed rate. Only Democrats were okay if it raised their taxes. Independents and Republicans were like, oh hell no. Republicans went from 63% an opposed rate to start with, to an 81% opposed rate if it was going to raise their taxes. And of course it's going to. Of course it's going to. This could cost $1 trillion a year. That's the price. The cost is that we are building a society that personal responsibility fiscally will become a thing of the past. That will lead to a breakdown inside of our society. When people just believe that the government ought to provide it, that's called socialism. And remember, whatever the government provides, they can take away. The cost is too much. The price is too high, and the cost is too much. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com.
a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report.
Welcome back to the program. We appreciate you being here. Paul and I are still looking for a coffee sponsor. Tell everybody what it is. I'll drink it on the air. And if it doesn't taste like booty, I'll tell everybody it doesn't taste like booty. Chicago is getting a new mayor. Don't know who it is yet, but we know who it ain't. Can I say that again? Chicago is getting Chicago is getting a new mayor. We don't know who it is, but we know who it ain't. And who it ain't is Lori Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot will soon be not the mayor of Chicago. After finishing third last night, she's been eliminated from the race as it moves onto a runoff election on April 4th. That includes only the first and second place candidates, and no one in the nine candidate field received a majority of votes. How they do it is they throw everybody in the pot. It's like a battle royale from the WWF days, right? World Wrestling Federation. Everybody, and then people get tossed. If you get tossed out of the ring, and only the people who are left. If nobody wins a 50% majority in this primary, then the top two finishers have a runoff. Lori Lightfoot came in third place. Here are the numbers. Paul Vallas, I think that's how you pronounce his name, won 33.77% of the vote and won the police union vote or police endorsement. So we'll see how that happens. Okay, you're asking. Paul is a white man. And Brandon Johnson came in second with 20.29% of the vote. And yes, Brandon is a black dude. Lori Lightfoot, I was calling her Lori Littlefoot for so long because she's about this big. And when I first saw her, she looked like Prince. I was like, he's dressed like Prince. It's weird. Very weird. But anyway, yeah, when all that happened, I knew that this was going to get super weird. And it did. Won 17.06% of the vote. Now, here is the deal. This is a Democrat city. It's been a Democrat city for damn near 100 years. Very, very left, very, very liberal. And the black lesbian is out. How bad a job do you have to do? I know it's terrible for me to say it that way, isn't it? When we talk about Chicago, we talk about, again, a city very much a very blue city, very much to the left, has been run by the left for a long time. One of George Soros's favorite places. And a black lesbian out. Where a white dude almost doubles her up on the percentage of votes. Cis, hate that term. a white dude, a regular white dude. How bad do you have to be? How bad do you have to be? Like I just said, Chicago is getting a new mayor. We don't know who it is yet, but we know who it ain't. Bye bye, Littlefoot. All right. The left is losing their mind on this student loan thing. Now we've talked about that, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. But I want you to understand. I need you to understand what we're talking about here. There are a lot of us who have some student loan debt that we are taking care of or need to take care of. And yes, it would be nice to have that total chopped by 10 grand. Because for some of us, that would eliminate the rest of it. For a lot of you, that would eliminate what you borrowed. But here's the fact: you've been paying all along, and some of you borrow the money from the government, and some of you borrow the money from a bank, or I don't know, savings and loans. If you're old like me, and you've been taking care of it because it was the right thing to do, or they made you. But in any case, you've been taking care of it. The idea, and this is the cost, that there will be people not being forced to take care of something that was of their own doing, is a horrible, horrible thing to get started in your society. We have to learn, people have to learn, children have to learn, adults have to learn, we have to learn that there is a cost to everything. And if you choose something, you have to pay, you are responsible for the cost of it. You personally are responsible for the cost of it. In all of this, there's been no discussion that I've heard of why in the hell does college cost so much? Why is it so pricey? Why is the price so high? Normally, when you raise the price of something, you raise the price of something because you don't want everybody to have it. There's lots of software out there that is expensive for no reason other than they don't want people like me to have. Because if I have it, I can actually put some other people out of business. If I have some of the best recording software, then it puts people who do that for a living out of business because I have the same software they do. I can read so I can learn to use it. I can hear so I can figure it out. That's why things are expensive. Or things are expensive if somebody else is going to pay for it. Whether the person who buys it pays for it or not. College is in that category. College can be increasingly expensive if they know that if everybody on campus fills out the FAFSA, I guess it's called, and gets government money, taxpayer money, even if the student bails out, fails out, and defaults, that they're going to get paid anyway, then it doesn't matter what it costs. It doesn't matter what the price is. This is a scam. Imagine if your business was able to charge whatever it wanted to charge for the product that you sell or service that you sell. Because if the person who bought it defaulted, then you were going to get paid anyway. How much would cars cost if they knew that if the car dealership knew that even if you didn't pay the loan, the government would pay the loan. How much would a car cost? How much would a refrigerator cost? This is what we should be talking about. Not forgiving $10,000. We should be going the other direction. We should be looking at the college and university saying, you folks put these people in this position. What are you going to do to make sure that you stop putting people in this position? All the people who owe money for their college education, people aren't looking to the college they got it from and saying, why did you put me in this? Why did these costs? Did you get an itemized list? What are we doing to make sure that these colleges and universities don't continue to put people in this financial bind for apparently no reason, and then be the first ones to be on campus and you know what, in the halls of Congress lobbying for free college when they know damn well it's not free because they're getting paid, and they're getting paid big time. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been The Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We'll be back. No, we won't. We're going home. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.